Welcome to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. In this episode of Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered, leading voices from the worlds of culture, the arts and heritage explore how Cyprus can preserve and promote its rich cultural legacy through innovation. The discussion examines the role of digital technologies in safeguarding cultural heritage, strengthening Cyprus's position as a cultural crossroads, and showcasing Mediterranean identity on the global stage through art, theatre, heritage crafts, and creative expression. The session also considers the importance of international cultural advocacy. This session was recorded live on May 7th, 2026 at the Cyprus Diaspora Forum held at the AMARA Hotel in Limassol, Cyprus.
Thank you very much for attending the first morning session on arts and culture. We appreciate the effort that everyone has made to come out this morning. We have a panel today that comprises some of the most, I'm not exaggerating, but some of the most brilliant talents that Greece and Cyprus have to offer. People who've really made some astounding achievements and innovations in their fields. And we're very grateful to them for participating today, and very grateful to Paul Lambis for organizing the third edition of the Diaspora Forum and including arts and culture for the first time. So let's start with introductions. If we can just go around and introduce yourselves, and we'll proceed with the questions right after that.
Good morning. Thank you very much for coming to this early morning session. Not typical for people in the arts and culture industry, but we're here. And thank you to Paul and Philip. My name's Dr. Mara Limpanai. I'm the chair of Theatron Technis London. There is a Theatron Technis in Athens, but we're not them. We established back in 1957. Our previous artistic director, George Eugeniu, came to London to study theatre, which was quite unusual even for him in those days. And a band of actors coalesced and developed their art, but also their work in the community. So our punchline, if you like, is that culture creates community. And next year we celebrate our 70th anniversary. We don't have the media capacity here, but I have my media over there, and I'm very happy to share those ideas with you. And I look forward to participating on the panel.
Good morning to all of you. Thank you, Philip. So I'm Angela Gerekou. I'm an architect, I'm a politician, I'm an actress. I have several hats, maybe because of my origin from Corfu Island, you know. Anyway, I was former Deputy Minister of Tourism and Culture, and the last 6 years, I was president of Greek National Tourism Organization. And today, I give, let's say, my experiences as a strategic consultant in the fields of tourism and culture for the public and private sector. In the same time, I'm very happy to be a lot of the times internationally as a keynote speaker, speaks in several forums about the regenerative tourism and with strong local identity. Don't lose this identity. Our effort is this. And of course, culture heritage, touchable and untouchable, holistically, you know, approach. And it's for me, it's another honor for me to be a member of the Film European Academy. And happy, of course, to be here with you today for this so interesting discussion about art and culture. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Andriani, and I own a fashion brand called Folkmona. I created this brand 3 years ago, and the idea was to bring the Cypriot traditional crafts into fashion and allow people to ask questions through fashion and learn more about the traditional crafts of Cyprus. I also teach Lefkara lace in London and in Cyprus. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicoletta Politorou, and I am the Executive Director of Systema Cyprus, which is a music social program that is built on free orchestra education, and where young people grow and they are given the opportunity to dream, And on our side, we are trying to turn these dreams into real paths. It's difficult, but we managed through very hard work to establish a lot of international collaborations in Europe, in the US, in South America and beyond. I also serve as in the board of directors of Sistema Europe, and I am also a trainer in a Hilti Foundation's initiative called Academy for Impact Through Music, that I train basically CEOs of similar programs from all around the world. This for now, I think.
Thank you. Andrew.
Hi everyone, my name's Andrew Michael. I'm the founder and CEO of Nine Lives Capital, which is based in London. We're a company that's now 10 years old this year, and we are a brokerage firm that sources, undertakes financial due diligence and finds buyers for music catalogue. So we buy songs from big artists, big global artists that you would have heard of, and we use them as assets. So the royalty income that these assets provide are a nice annuity income for investors, something a bit different from the norm. It's not property, it's not stocks and shares, but these things are non-correlated to the financial markets. So as and when you find things go on in the economy, typically these assets aren't touched. They're kind of recessionary proof. So that's pretty much us and what we do.
Excellent, thank you. First question for Andriani. Could you, we'll be talking a lot about technology and the impact of technology, innovation and art. And so you're dealing a lot with very, very traditional crafts. And I was wondering, on the one hand, could you maybe let us know how that interest started, but also could you explain what you're wearing, which is fascinating.
Yeah, so what I'm wearing is a shirt that has Fiskiotico weave, which is an embroidery made on the weaving loom in Paphos village, in a village in Paphos. And this is the Rizari textile, which is an inspiration from the alaja, which is the fabric that they used to use in the traditional costumes. And the idea of Folkmona started when I moved away from Cyprus. I was 14 years old and I moved to Saudi Arabia with my family. And that's when I started feeling very homesick and wanted to do things in order to sort of connect back to Cyprus. And I started researching a lot about the crafts. I went to uni, I did art, and that's when I would start learning all these traditional crafts. So I learned how to use the Cypriot traditional weaving loom. And I also did a 1.5 year training in the Cyprus Handicraft Services, where I learned lefkarales. And during that time, I felt that people around me did not understand the meaning behind these crafts and the idea and the history and the fact that it's part of our identity. And I really wanted to do something to inspire people and get them to learn these crafts so these crafts don't die, but also, make a platform for them to be used and created and worn in our everyday lives. And yeah, that's when I started Folkmona. Folkmona started as a blog where I would just document my research. And then I created a collection, went to Athens Fashion Week. And yeah.
Well done. It's different from the approach one would expect, but it's really, really interesting. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nicoletta, you're also dealing with something fundamentally human in its approach. Music and young people. What are some of the values that someone can get from a profoundly non-digital approach today? From the approach of creating music, participating in a symphony, which is, quite difficult and very, very different from the fragmented type of, social media engagement or online gaming or Netflix streaming that we're used to today.
Very nice question. So, first of all, one more thing to add is that we deal 99% with young people that they are in at-risk areas. that they are at the risk of dropping school, engaging in drug use, and many more other risks. So this is our population, although we also have other young people that they want to grow up through our program. So what we see, although we use, the team uses digital tools a lot, and we have to, however, the human approach is something that I think is very important and will come back and will be a need more and more in a few years, I think, and I hope, because we will need this physical touch, and I think art is something that will be a big need for the people. So in our case, the young people that they would never believe that they would have the opportunity to hold a musical instrument, that they will play in a concert in a very big theater, that their parents will watch them, and many more other people that will be proud of them. This, but also with the fact that they will learn an instrument, they will participate in an orchestra, the opportunity to set a goal, to be able to set a small goal that they will try to achieve. And then later on, they will be able to set bigger goals and work together in an orchestra where all together need to play together, listen together, follow a person doing something with their hands, and sound like one. Is something that helps them grow and be able to use these tools later on in their lives and set different goals there. Be able to dream, as I said before, that they want to study, that they want to pursue something that it was not a possibility before, really. And we see that. We have students that now they study, and in top universities. And we are in this process, so we see this happening.
Really fascinating. Thank you. Thanks. Minister Gereku, so you've had really an extraordinary career and perspective, both earning a degree in architecture, becoming a member of the Hellenic Parliament, being the president of the National Tourism Organization, as well as Deputy Minister of Culture. And it's fascinating because when we think about Greece, of course, we automatically think about culture, and of course, we automatically think about tourism, beaches, hotels, great restaurants. And I mean, there's a profound contrast between the two. If you're going to do tourism development, typically one of the first things that's at threat is culture. How do we preserve cultural heritage today in this, wave of innovation which is taking place, and in this wave of economic development, which is really transforming Greece and Cyprus?
It's a very interesting question. And before, let's say that I'm really impressed for the speakers, previous speakers, young girl, they're talking about roots, that they're talking about togetherness, and really, it's amazing. Thank you. You are really so much involved, engaged with this kind of fields, especially with crafts and production of the crafts, our tradition, roots, a young girl that transmit to the other girls and the other boys, young people, this kind of tradition. So talking about Greece and Cyprus as well, let's take the example of Cyprus, that is not only a meeting point of cultures, as we know, but it's very interesting that this place is the place that where histories have been absorbed and transformed into a living identity. So this is very interesting for me, what is happening in Cyprus and Greece as well, of course, but Cyprus will have really a special case. Today, the real challenge is not only to preserve the heritage, touchable and untouchable, but to keep it alive and safe. This is the most important thing. This is where innovation becomes essential. Of course, digital tools allowed us not only to document and protect culture, but to reawaken it, making it accessible, experiential and emotional engaging for new generation. What we are leaving to them. I mean, not to consume our culture, not to stay to the past, live it today, but not over-consume in a way that we are really deliver and give it to the next generation. But innovation, of course, we are with innovation and the technology. We can do nothing else, but it requires balance. For me, this is the magical word. It should not override authenticity, it should illuminate it. Innovation has value only when it serves authenticity. Because culture is not just information. It is memory, it is emotion, and connection, especially connection. But investing in storytelling, immersive experiences, and by connecting culture with education and tourism, we have this so powerful field. Cyprus, of course, and Greece can become not only a destination, that it is, okay, but a meaningful culture voice in the global dialogue for the today and for the future. Because in the end, heritage does not survive simply by being preserved. It survives when it is lived, shared, and truly felt. So we must have the responsibility also, not just to protect and to live the culture today, but to give it to the next generation. So to protect, okay, but just deliver and explore more and more tools just to go on and transform this in something new, with the rules, of course. So we are trying, and I'm working so many years in this kind of field for this connection and the balance between culture, tourism, and technology. Not lose really our identity, because this is what we want, especially now with so much fast changes in our lives, so we can keep it as close as we can in this new balance.
Thank you. One of the defining moments for me every summer is the Epidavros Festival. And even though I'm in the tech sector, and you look at the billions and trillions that are invested in digital art and digital gaming and online gaming and everything, but the most profound human emotions you get from sitting in a stadium, which is 2,000 years old, an amphitheater, sorry, which is 2,000 years old, and looking at really timeless stories of human achievement, human culture, human history.
I hope it really will never change this.
Me too.
Although this kind of fast development of technology.
Yes, yeah. Marilyn, speaking of the Teatro, could we pass this? Sorry, we only have one mic. There we go. Thanks. So Teatro Technis has become something of an institution in London, and it's definitely something which, is I believe started as something more for the diaspora, but is now, I think, firmly embedded in London and in the wider ecosystem. What are some of the things you're looking at and working on in terms of either innovation or adaptation? How can theater be relevant today in a metropolis like London, which is just so diverse and so technologically, I would say, from our viewpoint, advanced?
Thank you. Yes, Theatron Technis, as I said earlier, we definitely have a mission that culture creates community, but also community evolves and our culture evolves with that. It did start originally targeting the Cypriot community, but it's grown to have international companies come and visit. But we've kept the essence of providing a platform for underrepresented voices, including migrants and other global majority communities, and that's something that we continue to do. It's been a nexus for artists for decades, but we're in a position now where we want to evolve the next stage, and that really will, once we've set things up, will be in the hands of future generations, which I think is incredibly important. We have a relatively flat structure in the sense that, yes, there was an artistic director. We now have a creative director, Kerry Michael, and his very, very small team. But the whole idea is to give opportunities for talent that hasn't had the opportunity before, particularly new writing, and obviously established companies. And it's very true what you say about London. London is a metropolis. It's very culturally diverse, and we reflect that. But at the same time, the UK government, and this is where the stats come in, is investing billions into the creative industries. We're in a particularly fortunate position. We're 10 minutes from St Pancras International, if you know that. The big Googles and other companies are located there. But it is important that we preserve live performance and craft as people see it, but allow it to evolve. And our plan at the moment is to develop the old house that we have, build a 5-story new building, an east wing, renovate the theatre, expand it, have a community space that is sort of open access so local communities can book it. But to continue that vision, I think we need to understand that the industries do need investment. Not selling shares, not going that route, but we're looking for philanthropic investors. But it is an ideal opportunity to invest in the creative industries, and particularly the sector that we call create tech, which is a new field where creativity and technology come together. But as I was saying earlier, it is so important to involve the ethics of how that evolves, because technology comes with its challenges. It's not something we can ignore, but it has to be in the environment of an ethical understanding, and that every voice has the opportunity to contribute to that development. That's what I'll say at the moment. My media is in the corner there, and I'm very happy to share that with people because we don't have the capacity to show it, obviously, on a panel. But we're looking for people to join us on that journey and to ensure that the Cypriot community and others have a platform that is appropriate for the work that they want to produce.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. Andrew.
Thank you.
So I was absolutely fascinated when you told me your story and what you've been involved with. I'm also working at the intersection of finance and technology, but you were doing this in the music industry, where you've seen everything from the traditional bands of the 1970s and 80s, going all the way into the digitalization era, music streaming, Spotify, technologies like this. And financial innovation is really something that the arts sector absolutely desperately needs. And I was wondering, could you just, without giving away any confidential information, could you give a couple of examples of your work? Because again, it's brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I started out many, many years ago in the banking sector. I ran the music and entertainment division of 2 FTSE 100 banks, originally Barclays. And, one of the things that we were doing there were stepping into the shoes of the record labels. So rather than the record labels providing advances for artists, which is a typical thing that's been going on for decades, they provide advances, and then they recoup those advances from royalties that come in from the sales of music and the usage of music. We stepped into their shoes, and we were one of the first banks to do that, on the basis that we found that it was better for the artist to be able to take an advance from us as debt than it was to get an advance from their record label like a Universal or a Sony or something. And the reason behind that was that if you take an advance from your record label, the revenue see it in both the UK and the US as an earned income. So it's taxable in year one. And there's quite a big tax bill. In the UK, it's a 45% tax bill for a big A-list artist if they're taking, millions advances from their record label. And so we provided them with loans that gave them the same size advance, But because it's a loan, there was no tax liability to it. So they got 100% of the income without having to lose 45% in this example. And so, we started doing that kind of thing on the lending side, and we structured it so it was senior debt. It was safe. It was like a property transaction. We had security, which was the copyright of the songs. We had the income stream, almost like rental income, which was the royalties coming in, which we would direct straight to us. And it enabled us to be able to create a new line of lending, so great for the banks and the lending institutions, but also a more valuable asset for the artists. And they were able to do, a lot of things that they couldn't necessarily do previously because of that extra tax scenario. So we started off doing that, and then as gradually technology changed and people consume music differently, it becomes even more valuable because we have the ability now to be able to track everything. Everything's very digital. Spotify's come in, YouTube has come in, and we're able to track things. And in 2020, I co-founded a company called Bitsonic, which is a Swiss company. And it's effectively an AI company that allows us to be able to track all of that data. And so it enables us to be able to lend and buy and sell these assets far better on the basis that it's very easy to be able to understand its value and its income stream and its forecasts. And so, the way things have evolved have been, allowed us to be able to do that.
And what I find interesting is that you're working not just with some of the top, global names in the music industry, but this also helps songwriters. It helps younger artists. It helps people across the entire spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. So, at the moment, a lot of what we're doing is brokering music catalog acquisitions. So where people are looking to create capital, but not necessarily taking a loan against it, they'll sell a portion or sometimes all of their catalogs to create, a big lump sum to do something with. And it allows them to create some capital to be able to do other things. So we've lent to artists to be able to create their own fashion brands and not just be in the music industry, but actually go further and be entrepreneurial and be able to do things, outside without having to get investors in and diluting the assets from those opportunities. And we've done deals. I think it's in my bio, so I can probably tell you. It's probably public knowledge as well. We've done deals from the likes of Duran Duran for Elvis Presley or the estate of Elvis Presley. We've done deals for Ed Sheeran, some really big acts who are looking for capital to be able to broaden their horizons and invest in bigger, wider things. And we use those assets, which are, very safe, to be able to create that for them.
Thank you. Really, really interesting. Nicoletta, so let's talk a bit about Cyprus and the role of Cyprus as well. One of the signal achievements you have is bringing also musicians to Cyprus. And I understand that you're playing an active role in the 2030 Larnaca, European Capital of Culture. How do initiatives like that put us on the map? And how do international artists feel about coming to Cyprus to perform or record or otherwise create?
Collaborate. So, in general, we through our work, both in the social and the artistic part, the music part, and because we didn't have a lot, we had to work really hard. We managed very successfully, I think, to be seen. We are talking about programs that exist all around the world of currently 1.5 million young people, already past 5 million people, young people, plus the teachers, the musicians, the conductors. So it's difficult to distinguish in this era, but on the other hand, we did it. And we are also asked to perform abroad or to train other organizations, but also we have the interest of either conductors or solists. Now we will have, or in Larnaca 2030, where we will have the Sistema Europe Youth Orchestra performing from all around Europe that previously performed in Scala, in Odeon of Irodio, it's very important for us to host that in Cyprus. And there are many people, maybe outside of EU, that they didn't know where Cyprus is, to be honest. And they know Cyprus because of what we do at Sistema. I think we put a lot of effort to advance also our music level. And because in the social aspect, we managed to do that. We also received awards from Queen Elizabeth, from recently from the Council of Europe, the Prevention Prize. So, I mean, I think we accomplished that. So now we are also in the process of establish more artistically, even though we do the work. In the music sector, they will tell us, oh no, you are a social program. In the social sector, they will tell us, oh no, you are a music program. So, okay, we are both. And we can do both. So they want to work with us. They want to learn from us. And I find it important when a soloist wants to collaborate with us, when a known conductor wants to conduct our orchestra, because it gives also value to what we do. And we have that, and we have this upcoming also, apart from 2030, we will also have a soloist coming, a violinist that she's a soloist, and she also teaches at the Chopin University. So for us, this is also recognition, and something that we, in a strategy way, we want to do.
Excellent, thank you. Very, very interesting. Okay, Andriani, my grandmother grew up in a small village in Greece, and she knitted whenever she had time, whenever she wasn't doing all of the other tasks. I'm very certain my mother never touched a knitting needle in her life. I know I haven't, and my kids probably won't. Tell us about the whole issue of talent. I mean, in this case, the heritage is embedded in people and traditions. And I think you're the first person I've met who's actually studied Lefkaralais as a young person. How do you assure talent in this area? And I mean, is this a tradition that will survive, say, in the next 20 years or so?
So do you know, actually, my first lesson when I went to the Cyprus Handicraft Services, I did not know how to thread the needle. I spent like 10 minutes trying to thread the needle. I had no idea. But I think I was stubborn and I just really wanted to learn. And I would spend 8 hours a day. I would go, it was like a full-time job. It was during COVID times as well, so I had the time. But yeah, I had no idea. I remember my grandmother, she used to crochet as well. Crochet and embroidery is completely different. And in general, I was quite artistic. I used to paint. My mom, she's an icon painter. So I was immersed within the arts. But when it comes to embroidery, and especially Lefkaralais, it's difficult. It's not easy. And even now, I think when I'm doing the workshops, we've developed this really fast-paced kind of environment. Like, people just want to get instant gratification. They want to make something from the first workshop or the first day. And I think Lefkaralais especially allows you to just take a step back, slow down, take your time, and you're going to create something beautiful. So yeah, it's that idea. And when you do see the end product, you're proud of it because you've created something and you're carrying a tradition forward. It's not just learning a craft. So yeah, it does require a lot of patience. I don't think talent has anything to do with it. It's very structural. Lefkaralais is very structural. There's a lot of mathematics behind it, a lot of counting. So anyone can do it if they want to invest the time in it. And if there's a platform for it, and if there's a reason for them to sort of create it, because you're going to create clothes or bags or accessories, people would learn it because there's a reason for it. You can make money from it. And yeah, and also carrying the traditions of Cyprus forward. So, yeah.
And I understand you'll be offering lessons, right, in this? Okay, so we expect at least half of the audience.
Anyone's interested.
Right? Yeah. We need to sign up and support. Okay. Okay. Can we pass it to? So, talking about again cultural heritage, and we on the one hand we think about keynote instances like the Parthenon Marbles, or we think about. I remember for years the struggle to preserve the Parthenon from acid rain, or we have cities now like Barcelona or Santorini which are limiting, say, cruise ship arrivals because there's simply too many people coming, and putting this strain. But at the same time, cultural heritage is also living heritage. It's people like Andriani and potters and ceramists and musicians who are just from all walks of life. How do we preserve that culture as a country or at the system level today?
First of all, I'm wondering which kind of technology can really create a lace of Lefkara or something else. I mean, it's amazing how the human beings with so much patience, they can create something so unique. Okay, so now we have to face these new challenges. I mean, we were talking before about the balance between culture and innovation, and we're talking about Mediterranean, this unique complex that really Cyprus and Greece is one of the two places in Mediterranean world that really must find the way to go on, not only preserve it, as we said before, but to redefine again their identity through culture, touchable and untouchable. I'm insisting this because untouchable culture is very important and has involved really this kind of craftsmanship, and everything has to do with the tradition and the real life of the villages, with the real life of our history, our roots. So actually, I must say that I'm working in those years under a title. It is not only the title, it's a lot of effort we make. Greece, can be Cyprus as well, the land of healing. And it's based in this kind of philosophy of well-being that has to be with Evzine. You know, Evzine is something more than well-being. It's the balance about soul, body, and spirit. So if we can really find this kind of balance, redefine again this kind of code we must really have and use between us, human beings, with innovation and technology involved, I think we really can be alive in the future through our culture and our traditional. The land of healing, that means that now we have more than ever need to found our inner self. I mean, we have some researches that they're shown to us that the tourists, they're looking not only just for vacation and see and, advertise themselves and everything, and amusing themselves and everything, but this connection with the inner kind of self, of their selves, and this kind of slow tourism, close to nature, close to the real tradition, close to real life, with the human beings very authentic. Everything has to do with this kind of balance. So we hope, and I'm working on this with other people as well, and I must say that I feel that I am here with a parea, with people that they really share this kind of philosophy. as far from for our marbles. This is an issue we have really talk about it again and again. It's not only to reunify the marbles, the pieces, as fragments, but it's something that we must complete, that incomplete story that now we have in our museum, in our Parthenon. Because if you had a very good guide when you go to the museum, you must know that there is really the story of our democracy. If you cut this story, how you can have complete the whole story? That, this story give to all of us, globally, internationally, to all the world, this base of democracy, and then, we built up everything we built. So, but I'm really happy, we're happy, because we see much more and more people. They're really, they are with us. They are not only with us, because it's nothing to do with only with Greece, but the whole philosophy, this complete story, as I said before. And I hope, and we believe, that soon, we hope, we pray for this, we're going to have this complete story again to tell about democracy and about the complete story. So I have to share a thought with you. I don't know if you have something else to do after this question. So I must say only that culture must not only protect, share, and respect it. It does not divine us. Culture can really be that's a connection between us. So we must find this kind of connection, and to have to live with the thought that culture is not something we inherit passively. It's something we consciously choose to carry forward. So let's move forward. But I believe just to move forward, we must go some steps backward, to see again, to feel again, to learn from the past, to learn for our roots, so we can go forward really, with safely and ethical way, as you mentioned before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Marilyn, so what strikes me about theater, and this is just a casual observation, is that in the course of an average working day, our minds are totally absorbed with information. We get emails, we get text messages, we see advertising. Your mind is just cognitively overloaded. And then when you step into a theater, the first thing you've got to do is turn off your mobile phone and try to focus on a very human story. And I'm just wondering if we just look at this from the viewpoint of technology and how technology is changing people. Do you see changes in theatrical productions? Are they becoming, shorter? Is the messaging changing, the structure changing? What are some of, how will theater change in line with technology and technology's impact on society and on ourselves?
Well, I love the idea of turning off the phone. That's the first best thing. I think from Theatre Technic's point of view, we've always focused on authentic stories predominantly. We do have visiting companies that do a range of other stuff. But I think people come to the theatre for that experience. But it is not just a stage. It's an interactive landscape where the audience and the actors come together. In the future, not so distant future, because we still have some of it now, you may have technology embedded in the stage, you may have sensors, you may have motion capture, you may have all sorts of technology. But I think it's what we said earlier, it's to do with balance and it's to do with the ethics. You can have different participants, and part of that might be a piece of technology, and I think that's fine, in the same way as you may have music and other components to a performance. But the key thing is to keep performance live. And those who create the performances, write the stories, develop the work, develop the costumes, the traditions, whatever it is, if it's a classical story, they do have reinterpretation in the modern world. And we have to move forward as well, I agree, by looking to the past, but we have to have that open creative space that allows creatives to develop. And I think that's a key thing in Theatre Technic's story and our new physical developments, but it's keeping performance live that is critical. However, there is a role in terms of a new building will give opportunity. It's going to be the London home of the Cypriot National Theatre. So it is important for the diaspora to come together and have physical space to come together as well as virtually. It also is going to have an archive of Cypriot work. We started an archive back in 2008, but that needs work. But it's also important to tell the stories of the other diaspora who have common stories with us, but also different stories. So archiving is important, but our archives are what we call a living archive, in the same way as performance needs to be live.
And how do younger demographics adapt? I mean, are they you have a Shakespeare player, you have, I don't know, Electra or something. Are they able to go through it?
We've seen amazing change in demographics. Historically, when we started, it was members of the community and their parents, and they dragged their kids along to see a show because that's what you did. Now, it's those young people who are the creatives themselves who come back. And some of our creatives who've been with us decades say, not all of it's on the website, that one of the most important things was that it was a place for them to come, meet, work, and build friendships that have lasted. And I think that's so important, that it's not just the performance, it ends with the curtain call. We don't have a curtain, by the way, but it doesn't end with the curtain call. It's something that develops and evolves, and I think that's the absolute important message.
That's brilliant. That's really, really good to hear. Could we pass it over to... So again, this is somewhat of a loaded question. If we look at Greece and Cyprus, we've had some amazing musicians and actors and performers, Mikis Theodorakis, Melina Merkouri, Vithikotsis. I mean, just some really, really huge names, many of whom also developed an amazing international career. And I don't mean just the Zorba theme song. I mean a lot more than that. From your perspective, you're working with artists from all over the world. And you're working, I mean, with finance and with technology. What should Greece and Cyprus do to try to maybe expand that level of cultural relevance, or, that growth outside, not just our traditional neighborhood, but maybe to other countries as well. I mean, I think of Korea, this amazing growth of Korean music, again, Psy, and, all of these other artists. Do we have a chance to do that? And how would that happen, in your opinion?
It's a great question. Just before I answer, I just want to clarify on my previous answer. When I mentioned those particular bands and artists, we brokered deals for writers or band members who wrote songs for the artists that I mentioned. So I just wanted to clarify that. In terms of your current question, I think a lot of it is down to being able to move with the times. I think, the music industry kind of arena has changed greatly over the last few decades with the introduction of digital and social media and so on. And I think, some of those areas need to be employed to be able to kind of move forward. Record labels no longer take major risks on artists, new artists. They're a lot less, a lot more reluctant to take newer artists and take a big risk on them and put a lot of money into them. And so I think where we see success, global success, a lot of it is from, working the new opportunities, social media, and creating a great platform for an artist to be able to spread internationally. Using those social media platforms, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and being able to really get their material out there and get some exposure, because they just can't do that from record labels alone anymore. The budget and the resources just not there. there. And so I think it's really a case of just embracing the new technology and the new opportunities, rather than kind of looking back at what used to happen. You'd get a record label deal and that was it, you was made, because the record label was quite happy to spend, numerous amounts of cash on you. And now it's really a case of trying to do things independently. And to be honest, even the very mature, established artists are doing that now. Rather than paying 20-25% of their income away to a record label, they're trying to do things more independently and get independent finance and use their own platforms to be able to advertise things, rather than just, rely on the record labels. And so I think it's really a case of, utilizing the opportunities available to people. Social media is global. It's not limited to a country or an area. And so, utilize those opportunities and get that exposure, and just work on that.
So it almost sounds like growth hacking, like it almost sounds like digital.
Yeah, to an extent,
yeah.
There it is. I think if we look at some of the artists that still try to use the old model, they're the ones that are gradually kind of fading, whereas the most successful artists are the ones that employ the new models and the new opportunities, through social media, through new platforms. And so I think that's the key to be able to kind of move forward and get the exposure that newer, more kind of isolated artists that are great in certain territories but not quite global yet. I think that's probably the way, certainly one of the ways forward to be able to progress.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. We've come to the end of our panel. We're a little bit over time, but if I could just give two messages. The first is, I know we're all, in general, overworked. We all spend a lot of time on our professions and our families, but it's so important to try to spare a bit of time for culture and art, whether that's doing something on a weekend, whether it's avoiding Netflix and going somewhere live, whether it's performing yourself, or practicing, playing guitar or whatever, knitting, just if we can allocate a little bit of time, effort, and creativity in our normal lives, I think the world will be a much better place. And the second thing, which really impresses me, is we have 5 individuals here who have really dedicated their lives to art and culture. And for me, I'm in awe at some of these achievements, and I'd really like to thank you and encourage you to keep going. I know how difficult it can be. But thank you for coming and spending your time and helping us reflect on Cyprus and the role of Cyprus. And I'd like to wish you all the best of luck moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for more inspiring conversations that are shaping Cyprus's global future. You can also explore more episodes on our website and selected video interviews on our YouTube channels.